What's up? Let's get through this, fellas. A lot of people are very interested in hearing about this. I thought they knew a lot about, Grant. But Grant Hill has always been a very reserved individual. But the NBA at one point, when they drafted Grant, he was going to be the ambassador of the league. He's like LeBron is right now. Grant Hill was supposed to be that. They tried to do it with Shaq. It wasn't going to work. Shaq was going to be this new phenomenon and was going to lead the new age, but they felt Shaq was just a little too immature for the responsibility of being a representation of what the league wanted them to do. So they pulled the reins back and said, Grant Hill is the guy we want. 4 years in the university. Graduated from Duke. Two-time NCAA champion. Calvin Hill played for the Dallas Cowboys. This is his son. This is the man. You want to always remember what he brought to the table. He was the first real point forward. Scottie Pippen was kind of that guy, but never really that guy. Scottie was more athletic and played his role and to perfection, but he was never the primary ball handler of the team. Grant was the first of his kind to come in and really be that point forward. The guy who could take you off the dribble at his size and get you a triple double. When triple doubles, I mean, now, you guys, they fall out of the sky. But back then, it was very rare to get a triple double. You had to really put the work in to get that. Guys played their position. Him and Jason Kidd both got Rookie of the Year. They had to share the award. And his career was soaring. He was taking off, and they had the whole GQ article. Can Grant Hill save the NBA? It's like, wow. He had the markability. He was intelligent. When he got drafted, he said, I'm not even going to hold out. I just want to play. Already when he got drafted, he just wanted to play. But there were some things that were said about him in Detroit. Being on the Pistons. About who Grant Hill was. And every time, 3-4 years into his career, he started to have these injuries. And he had one injury 6 years into his career that just really did him in. And everyone's like, oh, this kid's just not tough. He's never going to make it. So they were trying to improve him and move him along and bring him up. But the one question that always came about Grant is like, oh, he's not like Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas played on one ankle and he was hurt. He played through pain And it's known through Detroit lore. And this stayed with Grant because he felt like he had to prove all the time, keep proving over and over again that he was better than what they were asking of him. You know, like, I'm better than this, or I'm better than that. I can beat Isaiah, and and that was always the problem. That was always a problem. It was a massive, massive problem. And he hurt his ankle, and they told him it was a bone bruise. So when everybody brings up the Kawhi Leonard situation in the training staff, they're telling him what they see. The player knows he's not feeling well and he's not performing well. He wants an outside opinion because the team doctor is going to do what's best for the team. And you're trying to entrust that they're going to do what's best for you. You're setting yourself up for disaster. So while Grant Hill is hurt, they're showing all these commercials and all of these things about Grant Hill and all these social issues and stuff that are going on with the OJ trial, and all of these different feelings are coming out about police injustice and all the social issues. Grant has been shielded from all of this, while other players like Michael Jordan, Grant Hill, they were like pushed away from it. And as Jordan was leaving, Grant was coming in. It was like, okay, Mike's gone, Grant's here, so you're going to be the ambassador? Oh, this guy's an Uncle Tom. So the Detroit Piston fans who've seen the toughness of the bad boys are now looking at Grant Hill as if, oh, he's just a pretty face, marketing tool. He's an Uncle Tom. And on the Fab Five documentary, that's what Jalen Rose thought of Grant Hill. And said, oh, yeah, well, we looked at Grant Hill, we thought Grant Hill was an Uncle Tom in Detroit. Anybody that went to Duke, rather, we looked at them and thought they were Uncle Toms. Now, see, we didn't know. Grant Hill was very offended when he heard it because it's not the first time he's heard it. The Detroit Piston fans looked at him like that, and Duke, if you're an African American player went to Duke, they automatically assume, he's an Uncle Tom. He's some type of sellout. And it's offensive to the person that goes there because it's not based on the actions that they have done. They haven't done anything for this to be labeled them. So Grant played even when his ankle was messed up, and then they gave him some painkillers, and he played Miami in the playoffs, and he heard a pop. And he had broken his ankle. So when they went and did the review, he took himself out the playoff game, and he's like, even the assistant coaches, training staff, he knew the whispers, like, oh, this dude's just soft. And took himself out of that game in game 2. Then he went back to Detroit. He felt justified when it showed that he broke his ankle. Because he felt like this team has really, didn't really support him in that way. Like believed him. It was doubt that, oh, this kid just can't take the pressure. He's not what they're building him up to be. So he goes to the Orlando Magic, signs a big $94 million deal. He has surgery, and they don't tell him that he has to sit out. Well, it's in the protocols, and they didn't read the protocols. They actually played him after 3 months. And the doctor was livid because they weren't supposed to play any physical activity to after 7 months. So he's out there playing when he shouldn't. And what he also left out is the fact that he almost died. Grant Hill had the second operation to try to fix the damage. He didn't play at all that year and got a staph infection. And a nasty one at that. So it got into where they did the surgery at. And because of it, it caused another, bad reaction. He's in the hospital for a very long time, almost died. Good thing his wife was there to, call the hospital, and they saved his life. After that, he was never really the same. He had to get his body back. He lost a lot of weight, had to build muscle up. So now he was relieved because now people wouldn't question, was he really hurt? He's more relieved of that. But the thing that always stuck to his craw is the fact that people looked at Duke players, if you're black, as Uncle Toms, and he hate that. And when he saw Jalen Rose say that, it stung him. But Jalen was speaking of how he felt at that time. When they played them in the finals and all that, they looked at them as, oh, they just Uncle Toms on the Duke team. They weren't enlightened. They're inner city kids. They don't know anything. But what bothered him is doing that documentary. Grant Hill got 2 daughters. So his 9-year-old saw it. And, sometimes children are sometimes shielded from it if you got them in good environments. So she watches the documentary and sees this, and she texts him or whatever, and says, "Why is this person calling you an Uncle Tom?" And that played into a thing that he had to have a conversation with Jalen and see what was going on and talk to him, because you know it certainly played into what he wanted to respond to, because we as individuals, we say things, right? And we say how we feel and we put labels on things, but these people have children. All the entertainers and all the things you see, they have children. Normally they block their kids away from certain things and saying, people are going to say this and that. But people go over the line sometimes, and they say things, or other people will say things, and people kind of forget how the child is going to react. That's why sometimes you got to be a little careful with how you say things. You got to word things differently. You got to, be a little cautious and aware, because there are children out there listening. So, so basically, you're policing yourself. Now, with that being said, brings us to the next question. That was brought to the table, because here's what most people didn't know. Steven Jackson did a post and talked about how he left his wife or fiance at the altar. He did a live stream on Instagram, and I did a video covering what he said, and a lot of people tuned in and saw that. A lot of people saw it. And someone else saw it, his son. And now that his son saw this, and it, raised another question. Because the son wants to say, some answers, and he didn't know how to feel about it. See, not only did he leave that woman at the altar, and he talked about her in a way that made her look very sketchy, he has 2 children by this lady. And now his son, who's definitely of age now, this is his mom. You know, he only knows that this is my mother and you're my father. And you're saying all this about his mother on social media. And people that know that where he goes to school, they probably know Steven Jackson's son, they know the mom. So now the whole world just listened to how this woman was, you know, what she was doing to him. So they're going to look at her as if she's very sketchy, you know, so it damages him because his mom's probably hurt and he's the son. This is who he sees the most. So Steven Jackson said, out of respect to his son, he will never speak on that night again. You know, so that brings up a very good point that I was telling you guys. The children are the ones that get hurt. They're the ones that become the victims of all these. They are the ones that get lost in the shuffle because you never know what they're picking up, what they're learning, who they're learning from. If you're a great parent, you know who your kids are learning from. You're very vested. But kids they normally pick up things from school. Not from the teachers, but their classmates. Kids normally get everything from their classmates. And now it's even more dangerous because they all got electronic devices with the whole internet right in the palm of their hands. So they're not even focused on what's going on in class. They're fact checking the teacher live. Like, that's not what it says here in Wikipedia. So that's the new reality that we're living in. So I want to bring that reality to the forefront. So calling someone an Uncle Tom, I've probably called two people that in my entire life. Because you got to be careful. Someone has to exhibit reasons to say that. Not because they don't agree with you. Ask them or learn what was the reason for them to do the things that they did. Believe it or not, LeBron was being called a sellout at one point. And I defended him. I've never called him a sellout. And he's done a lot of things that would prove he would sell out. He's done it already, and people just don't remember. Their memory's not too good because they focus on other things. But a lot of things he's done has been smoke and mirrors. But I've never called him out on it because I would need more proof than just to say something so vile to where the kids see it and they go, "Wow, Dad, are you really that?" You know, that's I think is too harsh. Now, if they say, "Well, Dad, do you really suck as a basketball player?" Then they'd be like, "Yeah, okay, well, you know, that evidence is on the court every night." So for me, I can just point and be like, "There he is. That's what he does for a living. Get him." So that's different. But if it ever gets like to the point of let's really talk, then we're gonna blow that lid off. You ain't think I shot my whole load, did you? When it comes to the Bronny boy, meaning LeBron. So anyway, I'm out. Don't forget to support the page always by hitting up the Cash App, which is Carcino is the name. And you could definitely go to the Patreon, which is Carcino for Life. Right now, it's something people need to be worried about. It's a very serious thing going on with the feds in Atlanta, and it's in the Patreon. That's all I can tell you. All I can do is give you guys the information. It's shocking and shocking. So we stay on top of it. That's what we do. And don't forget, you can always follow the podcast, Carcino for Life podcast, on all streaming platforms. And on that note, be blessed, be safe. I'm out.